Fucking good!
What's up guys, Shawnee Dogs here, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to do the Easter egg from Beast from Beyond. This is the last map within Infinite Warfare, and they definitely did not make it easy on us. I would say that this is the absolute hardest Easter egg that Call of Duty has ever come up with. So in this guide, I'm going to try to provide you with the easiest way to do it. If you don't follow this, I'm telling you, there is almost no way that you can do the Easter egg. 99% of the people who have finished it, which is only a handful of people right now, by the way, they were using the Purify glitch, which allows you to regen health like infinitely fast, but it only works in a team. This strategy is as a solo player. The main challenge here is the boss fight. But before we get into that, I'm going to take you through the steps. Now, this is going to assume that you already know how to turn on the power and also how to activate Pack-a-Punch, because guides for those were released before this map was even out, and it's pretty simple to do. And one last thing I wanted to mention before I get into this, I slept for 3 hours for the first 2 days that this thing was out. I set like 7 alarms this morning so that I could wake up and make this guide, and I slept through all of them. It was my craziest zombies experience of all time. I have a ridiculous amount of time played already on this map, so I think that this is the best guide that you will find out there. And while this Easter egg was still being figured out, I was actually in a game with Mr. Raffle Waffles and Smart Guy, who was streaming at the time, and I helped out with a step that was pretty hard that not a lot of people knew how to do. It was a puzzle towards the end of the Easter egg, and Noah J was also in that stream, and he called me a legend. So definitely one of the most positive experiences I've ever had in zombies. It was a whole lot of fun, and let's get straight into it. The very first thing you have to do is get your hands on the Entangler, so you want to do the first 2 steps for Ghosts and Skulls. The first one, right here, there's going to be a box on the map, either in that location, which is right above the door leading to Blue Bolts. The second location is out in the main room, directly above the Bomb Stoppers perk. And the last possible location is in the cargo bay. As soon as you enter, it is to your right, exactly where I'm shooting. So you hit your box with explosive damage to open it, you shoot the skull, then you want to come into the cargo bay. You'll see what I just did here is stand on a tiny little red X that was on the ground. There are 4 of these, basically on opposite sides of the room. If you're playing solo, you only have to stand on 1. If you're in a party, everyone has to stand on each of the red X's, and we'll start this little mini game. Even if you only had 1 zombie left in your round, zombies will continue to spawn. You could also use this to farm points if you wanted to. You can do it once per round, but you need to stand in your little green circle. So you're basically playing like a tower defense. You can't get hit, and a skull in the center of the room will start to rise. Once you do this for long enough, it will reach the top and you will complete this step. You'll hear a noise cue, and then a green skull will pop up. You'll either have to jump off either ends of the set of stairs that you're on, or the opposite set of stairs across the room, and it can also have a spawn location towards the middle where you'll have to jump off one of the crates. But you have to do it pretty quickly in order to get the skull, and once you do, you'll see what I just did there in the bottom of the center pit. There is the Entangler. You can pick it up. You can use it whenever you want. It is a D-pad weapon. No, it's not good for killing zombies, but you have to use it to grab certain things for this Easter egg. You now need to collect 4 floppy disks to put inside of Neil to progress. The first, you grab with the Entangler through this grate. This spot's right outside the cargo bay. If you launch it correctly towards the end of the room, you'll see that smoke will appear. If you do it wrong, it will just reset back into its normal spot, and you'll have to do it again and again until you get it. But it will now be sitting outside of 1 vent in your game. I found that it changes every time. I'm going to go ahead and shoot all of the possible spots. I only know of 5, that's where it's been in my games, but I'm sure it could be in any of the vents in the area, so I would make sure to check all of them. I'm almost 100% sure that these are all of the locations because I've played this map a whole lot of times, but it just seems weird to me that there were only 5 spots. I would think they'd make it an even number. For your second floppy disk, you'll want to take one of the many astronaut helmets that you see towards the spawn location, and you want to bring them over to the room where there is the dead cryptid lying on the table. I'll show you once I get there, but you can only do this with the Entangler. You can't like pick these up and throw them. But once you get into the room, you do have to buy it open, you'll get to this force field and you just shoot it at any one of those green computers. It'll take down the force field and your floppy disk will be waiting on a table. Your last two locations will involve Pack-a-Punch. The first one is off to the left, right next to this little radio tower, and your last one can literally be anywhere. And what I mean by that is after you leave the Pack-a-Punch for the first time, this blue cryptid will spawn. They're called phantoms, and wherever you kill this first phantom, it doesn't matter if it's right on top of where this key card is, another key card will spawn by its dead body. Sometimes it's a little buggy. You'll see I had a little bit of trouble finding it, but it was right there on the ground. Once you have all 4 of your floppy disk locations uncovered, you will then need to place them inside of Neil in a certain order. So you have to pay very close attention to the symbols. What I am showing you now, you can pause the video on each one of these pieces of paper. These are all the possible orders of how you will place them inside of Neil. Now, these read top down. When you go to place them inside of Neil, it is left to right, but it still follows the same thing. There are 6 symbols for each of these lists, and you will only have 4. So you could have like the 2nd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. It'll go in the order 1, 2, 3, 4. These 2 pieces of paper that I'm coming up to right now, the first one matches up with the 3rd, and the second one matches up with the 4th. So it can be a little bit difficult to read. There are 2 more possible orders. They are both located in spawn, and while I go ahead and show you those, I want to make it clear, if all 4 of your symbols are not on one list, that means you don't use that list. You have to find one of these where every single one of your symbols is on there and put them in the correct order. If you get it wrong, all 4 of your floppy disks will return back to the spot where you originally picked them up, and the symbols will change. You'll have to try again, and some cryptids will spawn because Neil is angry at you. Once you do place all 4 of these floppy disks in the correct location, Neil's face will turn red. He is now mad. He'll start opening and closing a bunch of doors, start turning on traps, and you're ready for the next step. You'll now need to make your way into the movie theater, and you'll see behind this brute there is a button on the wall. You have to take that with the entangler, bring it over to the back into this arcade, and launch it into this Beast from Beyond poster. If you somehow miss, the button will just return back where you found it, and you'll just have to do it again. But what this does is it places the button for you to press right here. I interacted with it in that same room where you put down the force field, and it will open up this puzzle. This is where a lot of people were getting stumped, so I'm going to attempt to make this as easy as possible to understand. Some people were saying, oh, there's a shortcut, all the vertical ones, just turn them horizontal. No, it goes in a very specific pattern, and it's pretty easy to understand. The way to solve this is every single one of these little levers, they must be all horizontal or all vertical. It doesn't matter. That's how you solve it. What I realized is that there is more than one of these levers that does the same thing. So I'm going to show you guys something on screen. It works in an array. The way that I've labeled this is every single number that is the same, like all of the ones, those turn the same exact levers. So the very easy way to solve this is you realize that there are 4 different sets of numbers. There's 4 levers that do the exact same thing. So in each of your sets of 4 levers that have the same number, you need to get an even number of them facing the same direction, meaning either all of them have to be facing the same direction or 2 of the 4 facing the direction that you want them to, because if there are 2 that aren't, you can just go ahead and turn those 2 and it will fix it. The reason I'm explaining this to you guys in an array is because sometimes yours is not going to be the same as mine. There's no cheat sheet that you can make. You just have to realize that there's going to be 4 levers that do the exact same thing, and they can pretty much cancel out each other's moves. But once you do finally get all of your levers facing the same way, you want to head back to Neil, take your entangler, and grab his head and bring him the exact same way that you see me taking. Sometimes the doors are a little bit buggy. They won't exactly open. I would just recommend like spinning or turning around. You're going to see here, I kind of get stuck on this door and I almost died out because of it, but I got lucky. It opened when I needed it to, and you just keep going. Sometimes Neil's head glitches out and it'll get stuck behind something and you'll end up dropping it, have to solve the puzzle again. It is a little bit buggy, I'll be honest with you. I've dropped his head more times than I'd like to admit, but you got to make your way all the way to Pack-a-Punch. You see me struggling a bit here, but I make it through the door. And then you got to place him inside of the computer. So you get it as close as you can to the computer screen, and you just let go of your trigger. You're done. It is time for the boss fight. If you interact with the computer, it will launch you right in. So make sure you don't interact until you are fully set up. You'll see right here, It is a tiny little square. You have an ammo crate. It will refill the ammo for the gun that you're currently holding, make it full. You'll have to battle 4 rhinos. You see how fast that I kill them. I would highly recommend pack-a-punching this Kendall. I'm using the double pack-a-punched version. It completely melts them. People have also said the Venom X is very, very good. Yes, it is good against the regular cryptids, but against rhinos, it doesn't really do all that much. These rhinos will keep spawning in this small area, so say if you don't kill the first one fast enough, that second one will come in and you'll have 2 rhinos in this tiny little square. So you really do need some firepower, and after you kill them, you'll have access to the little bit of the outside area. You're done fighting rhinos, at least for now. Definitely go ahead, refuel on ammo, and you'll see all of these portals. There'll be a brief pause if you do it pretty fast like I did, and then these cryptids will continue to spawn. All you have to do is survive. There's really nothing to it. You just keep killing, you keep running around. You don't want to stand still because the cryptids move very fast. It does get a little bit hectic, but you just have to continue to survive and pay close attention to the monitors, the computers that are right next to all of these teleporting terminals. As soon as they turn on, you'll want to turn them off. Go around the entire map turning all of them off so you can stop the cryptids from spawning. Again, I can't emphasize enough how important it is to keep moving, because even that laser, it will start trying to shoot you. So you want to be moving as much as possible. Some phantoms will spawn in, some more rhinos. Just keep going, turn off all of your computers, and you're ready for the next step. You will just have to keep surviving. That's a common theme throughout this fight, but the laser will eventually open this crate that contains a central terminal, and you'll see it counts down from 100. Again, you just gotta keep surviving. After this 100 countdown, the cryptids will start spawning in like crazy, a lot faster than they have been throughout this fight. I went into this boss fight many times with regular guns. Nothing can even compare to these Kendalls, because with regular guns, it's gonna take like almost a second just to kill one cryptid, and there are literally hundreds of them. You can't really waste any time killing one specific enemy. And even with these Kendalls, I was still getting overrun. I popped this card, hide and seek, so they can't see you for 20 seconds, so I could finally access this terminal once it was over. And you really want to stay away from those rhinos. If they hit you once, you will be downed if you have taken any damage beforehand, and in solo, you don't really get extra downs. You do get one, but that's about it. So this is it. This is the last phase. You will now be fighting 2 rhinos. They're not really rhinos. They're mammoths from Extinction, if you ever played that. And the amount of health that these things have is next level. It's completely ridiculous. And as you start damaging them, you'll see that they start to put blue fire on the ground. If you walk in it, it damages you, and eventually it'll get to the point where you can't even access some areas because there is so much fire. To make matters worse, not only do you have to fight these 2 hulking beasts, but over time, cryptids will start to spawn. So sometimes they could get a cheap hit on you from behind, and if you take any damage at all from the fire or the rhino, you're dead. The fight is extremely unforgiving, and I'm telling you right now, I do every single Call of Duty Easter egg when they come out, and solo, I would say that this Easter egg is almost physically impossible. It's not really that it's hard, but there's more of an RNG to it. The fire, that's what gets you killed. The first bit of attacking these rhinos, it's not really too difficult. They're kind of slow moving, and you have a lot of room to work with. Unfortunately, as that fire starts to spread, it literally never goes away. So there's areas that are permanently blocked off, and sometimes you're left with no options. And even the people who are using the Purify glitch in co-op, a lot of them were going down in the middle of this boss fight just because of how insanely difficult it is. And it takes so long to get back into this boss fight, especially if you're trying to get the Kendalls. You have to hit that mystery wheel so many times, and I did manage to take out 1 rhino, but the fire was just too much. I found myself with nowhere to go multiple times, and I just gave up, honestly. I think I tried this more than 10 times in a row, and every single time I would get really close, and the fire would just take over. You can't really do anything. And for this Easter egg, it's almost 100% necessary to do it in co-op. I got super close, but I didn't quite make it. So I hope that this guide makes the Easter egg at least a little bit easier for you guys in terms of strategy, and maybe you'll be able to finish what I started. So if you found this helpful, please be sure to drop a like, comment down below with any thoughts or questions you may have, and as always, subscribe to the channel if you guys are brand new for some more great videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.